What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
We're back. One Piece, 1172. It's been a lot of breaks lately with the manga. Happens this time of the year always, but I think this should be the end of it. I think we should at least have 3 in a row, I would hope. So we'll see. No break next week, that's great. Perfect. Alright, well, let's do this. Let's see what everybody's talking about here. A lot of talk about the weather. Shout out to Eric Veltri, 658, member for 41 months. Said, hope everyone's well. Remember to smile in any situation. If a room seems dark, perhaps you're the one to bring the light. Or just put on One Piece. This seem a little too reflective. These ones seem I'm hearing that the audio is low. I'll bring the microphone closer to me. Hopefully that makes things a little bit better. Pulling up the chapter now. I have been spoiled only on the first page of this chapter, having Bon Clay on it. That's the only thing that I know about the chapter. But the way that it was, like, so many people seem to have been talking about this, I thought we were going to be getting like a cover story for Bon, but it's just a cover request, so it's nothing. So, chapter 1172. The Elbaf I Dreamed of. First, I had noticed the hats on the swans in the background. Check that out. Listen to Tomato Guys and like D-Stream. We've got a straw hat on one of the swans, and then one of them represents Bon Clay. What does the crown represent, though? What's everybody's take on that? I guess it could be Emu, but that's kind of weird for Bond to be included in that. Anyway, let's move on to the actual chapter here. So we've got a little gondola here going up the side of the tree. Bon is with them. Even though he said he was going to hang back. It's all a lie. Our foes number 3. And their mission is to kidnap 10 giant children. They mean to take the children to the Holy Land and use them as hostages to coerce the warriors of Elbaf into being their battle slaves. Oda's doing this more for the casual audience than everybody on the gondola here. So make sure everybody remembers what's going on. It's what we call a reset. How could a mere trio of humans run rampant over both the giant pirates and Mr. Ya? Sorry I failed you, plain and simple. You say children, but these are giants, right? How are 3 humans our size going to carry these giant kids? The woman of the trio has a strange power using arrows. It seems that wherever these arrows point, the children are helpless to resist them. They are walking ceaselessly towards the port in the western village. If they get to the boat, they can lose us at sea. And then it's all over. That's the true end point of the situation. Next page. But if that's all, then why can we not simply take back the children? One of the 3 is a man named Summers. I know him, unfortunately. Man with the powers of the thorn fruit. As a thorn man, he makes free use of vicious, spiky vines. He can make them invisible, too, and has wrapped them around the children. And that means we can't pick them up. How sadistic. Aye. Hard to steal. If we interfere with the line of children, they'll bump into each other and harm one another like hedgehogs. On top of that, one more thing. The final member of the trio is most likely manifesting nightmares as real creatures. The children's greatest fears have come to life to prevent any attempt to save them. Irony is, the children are simply walking in a line in broad daylight, but we're unable to do a thing to help them. All due to the game created by the 3 powers working together. Not so. We will save them. Seems quicker to aim for the 3 causing all the problems. You say they're immortal, but there has to be a way to stop them. Like trapping them in something. Or crushing them, or eating them. Haha, yes, I agree with that. We're nearly up in the sun world. Good chunk. Next page. Mic is really low. Other people haven't noticed problems with the audio. All right. So now they're up top. They're seeing the nightmare creatures fighting each other in a way. Is this a double? It's beyond anything I imagined. Is there no limit to these nightmare monsters? Look over there. Is that the Great Eric? Great Eric would be the ship for the giant warrior pirates. Oh, and it's burning. Wow. Dorian Brogie's crew was on board. But the monsters downed the ship as they fought back. Unthinkable. Is that Hyrodin? Kashi, you're alive. We've been down in the underworld. Tell us what's happening. It's hard to believe, but I'll try to explain. Man, that sucks that their ship is burning.
Savage.
Page 8. Captains Dory and Brogy are going to kill Chief Ja Rule? You have to stop them. Everybody's gone completely mad. What about the children, Kashi? Ripley's got a group chasing after them. Okay, so Ripley and Frankie did arrive. We haven't had any word about success or not. They should have reached the port by now. Oh, and you, Roto. What about me? Bjorn's there? I have to go. My brother's one of the hostages. I'll go with him. Yeah, me too. Kashi, which way is the school? Apparently Nami's group is near it. See that fire? That's the school and library burning. Why are they on fire? See that Dory and Brogy have gone mad. That's right. Alright, double page. We got a map now. We got a super from King Sorrowful. 1 month left till OPLA Season 2, March 10th. It's refreshing to see the live action keep the silliness of OP. Question though, where's Karoo? Things will be answered. Gotta wait. Alright, back to the chapter here. Please, you must hurry. Chief Ja Rule's life is in danger. Okay, we got the school and library here. Saul is still over on that side. Current location of Gabon, the new giant warriors, Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper. It's pretty far away from the action. Ja Rule is by the castle. It seems that Gunko Emu is heading that way. Is this the children? I mean, it's hard telling these silhouettes apart here. Looks like Luffy and Loki are already up top, but they're not going to where the crew is. They're going to where Ja Rule and the kids are. They're going to intersect with that. And it looks like the crew is still over by Saul. This might be Oda's most confusing map of all time. Let's see. All right, so anyway, the Walrus School and Owl Library. Okay, we're seeing all of that burning. By the library, the Straw Hat Crew. The library's burning. Chopper's still not back, and Brook got some kind of idea in his head and ran off. Okay, that's good. That's good for the plot. They're taking the children. Get these arrows off of me. Damn it, I never wanted to see Master Dory and Master Brogy like that. Kill Ja Rule. Captains, please stop. Come back to your senses. Under the power of Domi Reversi, the giant pirates head for the Western Village. Rescue team, we're coming for you, kids. Where's Frankie, though? He was with Ripley. Get those monsters out of the way. We got Oimo with Ripley. Oda must have something planned for Frankie. I said this months and months ago, but I feel like out of anybody in the crew, I think Frankie's got the biggest chance of getting reversied. Alright, the hostage children. We're gonna be at the port soon, and then don't whine, you're warriors of Elbaf. But we're not warriors. The Western Village. No, you should flee if you wish. It's time to flee, Ja Rule. There's no reasoning with Dory and Brogy right now. I'll stay. I have some things to say to Elbaf. Sounds like Ja Rule is not going to make it out of this one. Gotcha. Hear me, Elbaf. I wish to tell you everything before I die. Is that Ja Rule? Our old liege was wise King Harold. Our old liege, wise King Harold, wished to bring Elbaf into the world government, so that we might coexist with the rest of the world. But on that fateful day 14 years ago, he was betrayed and denied his wish. I witnessed a demon slaughter Harold and the rest of his soldiers. Harold resisted bending the knee and handing over Elbaf to the demon. He fought and he died. What? I thought Loki killed the king. But if the people learned the truth, they would rise up in vengeance and become the warfaring nation that Harold did not desire, so I held my silence. Loki, meanwhile, bore the rage of the nation upon his back and took to the sea. He may be a tactless man, but Loki is innocent. Bit inaccurate, but a nice turn of phrase. Nicer than he deserves. Next page. But today, it seems that though they had given up initially, they once again require our massive power. And thus 3 demons have come back in an attempt to take over our country. Yawn, I could take a nap and still complete the mission at this point. Listen up, you devils. If you spare the children's lives, we will freely give up our culture and history. But if you think you've broken our spirit, you're sorely mistaken. Do not expect Harold's patience from us. You think you can rule over us and enslave us? Who do you think you're talking to? Sorry, children. I must ask you... Let's ask you to cover your ears now. That's right, Ja Rule, you tell him. The Elbaf I dreamed of doesn't bow to anyone. If the world is destined to be split in two, as the Harley's prophecy suggests. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
Elbaf, take control of your city.
Yeah, this is Bane telling the truth about Harvey Dent to the people. Give it back to you, the people. Anyway, next page. Then Elbaf shall be an enemy to the world government. Did you think that thorns, reversi, and illusions would cause us to submit to your yoke? I like that old man. 3 centuries ago, he was the strongest man on this sea. Jarul is saying reversi out loud. We will never give in to your rule. Am I wrong, all of you proud warriors of Elbaf? Damn right, Ja Rule. The Elbaf I love is back. Fine, fine, just think of a way to undo these arrows. Protect the peace that Harold envisioned. We've caught up. Watch out that they don't trap you between them. Zoro says, I've got a plan. Running back through everything.
You're
Alright,
loyal.
so this will go down as the Ja Rule speech episode, chapter. All right. Well, I think, I hope that we are finally past all the resets and the setup, and that the next chapter will get back to form. I like that Ja Rule had his moment. Chapter was still moving a little bit slow. It's a reset. You had to tell the casual audience everything that happened. You had to remind everybody where we're at. We had to spend, a double-page spread on a map that was pretty confusing. And then a pretty underwhelming end. Oda is usually pretty good about ending the chapter on some sort of really interesting image or something. I mean, and it feels like there's another page to this one, and there's not. But that's what makes me think that the next chapter is going to be it's really going to get into things. You know, the most interesting thing about this chapter is Brooke disappeared. Right.
You loyal.
So we're gonna get into the Gunko stuff soon. Brooke's probably gonna be like a real key to all of this, which is fun because Brooke doesn't get enough love. He doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough anything. So I'm excited for that prospect. Frankie has seemingly disappeared, unless he stayed back with Lilith and Bonnie at that house, that factory or whatever that was. That's worst case scenario. Because that keeps him out of the action. That's probably what happened. He's probably still there with them. Next chapter will probably end on some standoff between Luffy and Gunko, Emu, and Loki. Alright, let's take a look at the chat. Saeed agrees. Frankie's probably with Lilith and Bonnie, which is a shame.
You loyal. Let's see. Had we seen Killingham's human form earlier? I was surprised to see his face here. We did, actually. We did see that in a chapter before the flashback started. Brent said, what if Zoro gets turned trying to mediate the situation? Next chapter, becoming the king of hell. Zoro has to stop Domi Reversied Zoro, essentially the opposite of their Wano promise. That's interesting. Before you even mentioned the Wano promise, my head had already gone there. The reverse is nice because it's Domi Reverse. You reverse the promise. There's an element of that, you know, makes me want to see it either way. Like if Sanji got reversed, then, you know, Zoro has to follow through on all of that. There's a world where, because Dory and Brogy, in my opinion, are representations of Zoro and Sanji to begin with, that both of them get Domi Reversed or neither do. I mean, it's tough to do one without the other. And with having Dory and Brogy both getting reversed, it opens the path for a lot of different story directions. Brandon, member for 29 months, said 29 months. Ja Rule killed it this chap. Yeah. I mean, this is his chapter. This, like I said, this is the Ja Rule chapter. So. Alley Clown 3 said, yo, Randy, I haven't been able to pop in for way too long, man. Hope all's well. Fam is safe in these trying times. Likewise. Yeah, we're okay over here. I wish the same to you and everybody in chat. Last time we saw Frankie was at the wreck of the Eric. Really? I don't remember that. I thought the last we saw of Frankie was at that house factory thing with Bonnie, Lilith, and Ripley. Kip said, what if Frankie is actively augmenting his body with new weapons and parts for an upgrade? You know, I can't keep getting my hopes up for something like that. Because, like, I legitimately wanted that in Wano. With, like, for him to find Queen's blueprints. Get a rechargeable laser and all this kind of stuff. And that never happened. And then it didn't happen on Egghead. So it's like, why would it happen here at this point? I don't know. Volkazard, this I could actually see something like this. A crazy feat for Zoro. He cuts the branch so the village and castle fall down. I could see something like that. That's well within Zoro's wheelhouse. It would feel like an escalation of what he did to the Onigashima horn. So it's the precise type of plan. Like if Zoro were to have any sort of plan, what is his plan going to be? It's going to be cutting something, right? Because that's what he does. That's what his plans are. So that's good. Luke said Zoro's gonna go blow up the ship and be like, we're not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with us. You know, I had a button for that, or I was gonna set up a button for that, but I didn't do it yet. I've had that thing where I downloaded it so that I could have that. Wish I could have pressed that right now. JS said, one good theory I heard, Zoro challenges Dory and Brogy, saying which one of you is stronger. That's interesting. Zoro would, having known Dory and Brogy from Little Garden, I feel like it's almost too cerebral for Zoro. We haven't seen him come up with a good idea since maybe putting the X underneath some bandages in Alabasta, but I think that would work. Jody List. Okay. This this whole thing with the but now I know. Good to see you, Joe.
You loyal.
That we just talked about, which is good. I can see that. JHSM doesn't think that Domi Reversi will happen to a Straw Hat. I think that there's a 90% chance that it doesn't happen to a Straw Hat. But I think that I think Luffy's the counter for all of it. And I think the only way that we'll ever really like see the counter is if Luffy's got to do it. And the way to make Luffy have to counter this is to put a member of the crew in danger like that. Who's the 10%? Usopp? No, I actually don't think. I think Usopp is maybe like one of the most safe people. I don't think that it'll happen to Usopp. I don't think that it would happen to Nami. And I don't think that it would happen to Chopper. But I think that it's fair game for Frankie. Because if he gets damaged, then he'll have to rebuild himself. There's an opportunity, as we've discussed, for either Zoro and or Sanji. And I think it would be interesting if it happened to Robin and then it just looked like Demonio Floor. We talked about this. And if Robin had some unique way to counter it as well. If I could see Robin, it'd be crazy if her counter was kind of in the vein of Usopp and Perona, like Usopp saying, I've always been negative, and she's just like, I've always been a demon. So it doesn't work for me. There's some opportunities to do some cool stuff. Demon Nami would be so fun. I don't know. It said the last time he saw Frankie was in chapter 1148. Ripley told him she was going to save Cologne and the kids, and Frankie told her to go and do that. He was fighting the nightmare monsters. That's right. I remember the nightmare monster showed up. Okay, so we need a update on that. Sakshi said, what if Luffy himself gets Domi reversied? I don't think that he can be Domi reversied. And if he is, he'll be able to reverse himself. Imu turns all of the pieces into black pieces on the board, and I think that Luffy's going to be able to turn everybody white on the board. We're thinking the same thing there. I was just talking about this. Is there any chance that Domi Reversi won't work on Robin? I really think so. Oh, Bone Killer Confuser said, I like the theory that Zoro's naturally immune to Gunko's direction abilities. This goes into the same thing with like the Perona thing. I've always been negative. I've always been bad at directions. But it's like, if we get that, then we're not going to get the Domi Reversey thing, because we can't have it back to back. Frankie needs a Hasta La Vista Baby upgrade, that's for sure.
Come with me if you want to live.
Luke said, I don't know, I think that Brook is going to try to appeal to Gunko, and Emu is going to take him out, making us think he's dead. Luffy will freak out, big old battle. Hey. You know, we need some stakes at this point. So... I don't know if Oda would do that. It would be crazy for the story. It would be a massive moment. All I know is that something has to happen. And it feels so weird to me that like all of this stuff is going on, and yet I'm reading it and I'm underwhelmed, feeling like nothing is really happening. And I don't know what I mean, I feel like that would change it. I mean, I think the problem is that we need to shift the focus towards the characters that we know and care about. And we've been spending a lot of time on characters that aren't the Straw Hats, which is a problem that Oda has. It was one of the big reasons why, you know, a lot of Wano didn't work. Which is why I'm excited that this chapter did end on Zoro, because it feels like the next chapter will... you know, be very Straw Hat focused. It just feels like, you know, I know we're in the end game. I know we're a lot of people disagree with me on this, but like I feel like we're close to the end. And I just want as much time as possible with the crew more than anyone else. Luke said then it would pop back up and say, it's okay, I'm already dead. Yeah, that's what would happen. Brandon said, on Robin becoming a demon, she'd say, as a human being, this disgusts me, calling back to her rejecting the combo robot. And she powers through it. So, because she didn't want to join docking, she would consider Domi Reversey as like a form of docking and just renounce it. I like this. Volkazard said, I could also see Angelico Floor with seemingly good side being the evil one. Yeah. Well, you know, that's another thing too. I mean, like, Angelico Floor is something that like I've essentially talked about with like everybody when they get flipped white by Luffy, which is what I think will happen. That's my agenda. I talk about it a lot. Might be the only person who thinks that. But that is kind of what would happen, right? If she was in Demonio Floor, and then Luffy flipped her, and then she became all white, it would be like an Angelico Floor. Alex Mirren said Emo cutting down Brook could be a lead into the Brook Gunko flashback. Yeah, very much so. It's a strong lead in, and I could see it because then it would also, you know, potentially create a fissure between Emu and Gunko if Gunko does actually care for Brooke, which would give the Straw Hats a natural out and a pseudo victory. Luke said, I'm still on team Usopp dies this arc for the record. Absolutely not, dude. No. Usopp's never gonna die. Even with all the, like, you know, the subtle foreshadowing and, you know, whatever. I mean, because like people pointed out for Usopp, but honestly the foreshadowing is there just as much for or you know, maybe even more for someone like Sanji, and I still don't know if any of that will actually happen. But Usopp, more than anything, is the viewer. So if Usopp dies, it's like Oda's killing the reader, and I think it would kill the show. It would kill the manga. I don't think it's gonna happen. Sakshi said, I agree. For some reason, the villains do not feel as intimidating. I'm not scared that the Straw Hats will fail. Yeah, and that's a big problem. It's a big problem. King Sorrowful, Faye Baroque Works member in season 2. Now that we've seen stuff, I probably can say this. I didn't say this a while ago, but it's Mr. 9. I think Mr. 9's great in season 2. A minor character that most people wouldn't think is like great. But I didn't want to say who it was yet. I'll just say it now. I think people are gonna like what Daniel Lasker did with the role. Chin, member for 52 months, said Zoro's plan cut Elbaf kid's leg and fixed by Chopper later. So they can't walk anymore? Jizep said, One Piece ends with Usopp telling this story and all the people call him a liar like Nolan. I actually would prefer if like he got an epithet at the end of the story that was like truth sayer Usopp, truth teller Usopp or something. So it'd be like the complete opposite of Nolan the liar. Like everybody actually believes Usopp. So she said we need an archipelago moment for if not the Straw Hats, then for some of the side characters we really care about.
I agree. That's something I've been really pushing for. I honestly wouldn't be against a second time skip where everybody trains with Gabon, everybody learns hockey that needs to learn it. Um, I feel like we're unprepared for the future of the story. So we need something there. Everything's been too smooth sailing for these guys. Like even Egghead, we got out too easy. Everyone actually believes Usopp, but he's still a liar. Yeah. It's like everybody's believing him, but you know, we can see what he's saying, and we, having read the story, know that Usopp's very much embellishing things, particularly his contributions. Bone Killer Confuser said, Randy, I suggested a second shorter time skip years ago and you poo-pooed it. When? Because I know I've made videos where I've talked about it. During Wano? I don't understand. I feel like I've always been in favor of like a short, you know, few weeks, maybe a few month time skip. Because I've always been team like these other guys on the crew need to learn hockey. We need something. Like, I think I even had a theory video that I was like, you know, which was wrong, where I was like, oh, you know, we need to go to Sphinx Island after Wano so that we can have a little bit of a breather for people to train and learn hockey or something.
Savage.
Brandon said, by the way, Randy, do you think the identity of the narrator is important? I don't. And if so, who might it be? My bet's on Kobe, but that's just me. I don't like the end of the story being, you know, we cut to an old man and then they close the book and say, and that's the story of Monkey D. Luffy. That's not how I want this story to end. And I think Oda, knowing that that would be the end of the story, would have probably been very particular about who the anime chose to be the voice for the narrator. And at that point, I think the original narrator of One Piece was the voice for Smoker. Could be wrong. Is that right? Because then at that point, it's like, well, the narrator's Smoker then, I guess. No, I don't think the narrator's important.
King Sorafil Super again. It said, favorite thing about the One Piece live action is it maintains the whimsy, but adds things like actually killing characters, Robin killing people love. Hell needs to be toast. Hey, Chaka can do it. Yeah. No, I mean, whimsy is definitely a word that is used, internally for the show also. So it's all there. Jin said the crew's missing mission quests or even training arc. I think with the addition of Gabon here, like, this is the opportunity. We do what Rayleigh did for Luffy, but we have Gabon do it for everybody. Cone Killer said, I still strongly believe Nami is the strongest observation hockey in the crew, maybe the world. I just, I always looked back at that moment with the, her sensing the cyclone while she was on the brink of death. I was like, that's got to be observation hockey. Come on. But, I don't know. King Sorrowful, I'm still so heated Oda did not kill off the bird. It would have made Alabasta so much more impactful to lose Pell, but Oda, for some reason, chickened out. I don't know if I'd put that on Oda. I would put that on, he's got a team of people. So. Jody listed, I don't think the narrator is important either. You're not alone. Yeah, I think we just have an omniscient narrator. That's fine. I didn't get far enough into Jujutsu Kaisen then to know that the narrator's a character in the story. Very motivated. Whimsy's important. I agree. Said, I don't know about Nami's weather observation hockey, but she definitely has some berry hockey. Yeah. Crush and JHSM said, predictions for the next chapter. If you were in a writer's room, just did a reset, what would the room be talking about for upcoming chapters? How to pay off all of this setup. We'd have an ongoing tally of everything that's going on that needs to get addressed. I got a message on Discord. Randy, my chats aren't showing up. I was wondering, do we see the great Eric's Glaboterman? I thought about that, and that's why I was like, I had a reaction to the ship because ships have, they have souls in this world. They're basically people. So I don't know. I think we just gotta kind of chalk that one up. But to finish Crush's question here, clearly we're setting up that Zoro's got some sort of a plan. So we talked about like different ways that could go. Like, does Zoro cut off the tree branch, kind of like what he did in at Onigashima with the horn? Does he tell Dorian Brogy that, ask them, which one is stronger, and then he gets them to fight each other? What's he gonna do? And the thing is like, earlier in the story, Zoro was more cerebral than I would say he is now. Oda writes him more as like a brute that isn't all that smart anymore. So I'm more inclined to expect him to do the more cutty hit thing rather than the brainy thing. Ultimately, I think we're going to get into some Sanji and Zoro versus Dorian Brogy fighting. And I've always thought of Dorian Brogy and Zoro and Sanji as like all equals. So I think it should be like a really evenly matched fight. And then it would be nice. I don't know if we're pushing too fast. I think Oda will probably wait, but it would be nice to see a little bit of Brook catching up, so we know where he's gonna go. But we also need to have a little bit of a reset with Luffy and Loki. See where they're at. How far are they to the town? How far are they to Gunko Imu? I feel like this chapter or the next chapter is going to end with a standoff between Luffy and Imu, and Loki will be there as well. And I mean, one of the most interesting aspects of that is if Brook is there also, because he would be very much so like the unexpected third wheel in that fight. And that's kind of cool. But I think that ending on Zoro means that, next chapter is all about Zoro's plan, whatever that is. And maybe some fighty with the giants. And say, by the way, Randy, I saw people posting live action Chopper plushies in the Target toy section. Yeah, merch is hitting the shelves, guys. We still have this on my desk. We opened some of these. Those are from Target. Golden Power said, but Sanji's going to the library, which is the opposite direction of Dorian. Yeah, that's right. He did state that intention. Yeah, he's gonna go save the girls. So then we're probably, pushing towards Sanji versus Summers happening pretty fast. Faster than I imagined. Zoro versus Dorian Broggy by himself is kind of crazy. But I guess, the giant warrior pirates are there as well. Okay, I see what Oda's doing now. He's splitting up the monster trio. So Luffy's going to where Emu is. Zoro is dealing with Dorian Broggy. And then Sanji is going to the other two gods' knights. Huh. Okay. Alex Mirren said Brook could be delayed based on how dramatic or funny his initial confrontation with Gunko Emu is supposed to be. Yeah, exactly, which is why I was like, it'd be nice if we got it, but I could see it getting held. Catch you later, Brandon. Crush said, was it Gunko that said that Nika is her scariest nightmare? Yes. Yep. So we could see that being a part of all of this as well. I'd like to see some fissures, some breaks, some cracks in the armor when Emu controls someone. Can they fight back? Can they push Emu out? Will Gunko's fear of Nika or potentially feelings for Brook be able to show whoever the real Gunko is underneath all of this? Gunko face reveal, Brook possibly be Gunko's dad. I don't know about that. I still like the idea that Brook could be the dad that was not the biological father, but the man in her life that she looked up to and spent more time with than her father, because her father was probably a busy man or something, something like that. I think Gunko's father's probably whatever king Brook protected before he became a pirate. And part of his job was protecting Gunko. And so he was like an Igaram figure to Gunko, not a Cobra. Shanks and Uda, in a way. But I think more like Igaram and Vivi, or uh, who else? I mean, there's. I feel like there's a bunch of examples of it. Zeph and Sanji, you know, like just the person that's not the parent that they looked up to. More like Shanks and Luffy, maybe. Cone Killer said, remember, Gunko is now aligned to the Manmeyer family after the volume release retcon. And who's to say that Brook wasn't, you know, a vizier for the Manmeyer family, though? Leo Legendario said Kinemata Momo. Yeah, that's a good one. Is it possible that Brook is linked to Emu? I don't think that. I mean, I don't. It'd be crazy if you know we find out Brook is Nerona Brook, right, or something like that. But I don't think so. Jody Liz said Gunko was a small child when Brooke held her hand in the past, so she's the right age to be his child. Brooke's at least 30, no older than 38 at that time. I'm not going to say that the chance is 0%, but I'm not going to say that it's a very high chance. We have a lot of deadbeat dads in the story, so it makes sense, but it makes more sense to me that he was the person that cared for a child, but not the actual biological father. Because there's a lot more ways for Oda to get away with Brook, you know, not trying to find his daughter or anything like this, you know, this whole time, if it isn't actually his child. See you later. Kip said Gunko takes some hope Gunko takes some accountability like Harold did. Their crimes are not even comparable yet. In his brief return to sanity, he told Loki what he did was unforgivable, even though Loki wanted to forgive. We'll see how Oda wants to play it. Alex Mears said, my long shot is that she's actually Brooke's wife, and that little girl we saw was their daughter. This arc has been all about those husbands and wives. Now that I haven't heard yet, and that's interesting. Because also, like, if Brooke had a child and then the child died, then I could see Brooke, like, just ditching his whole life and, you know, going out to sea because he's trying to forget what happened to him. And that would be worthy of an extremely tragic second flashback for Brooke. Like, how much worse can this guy's life get? He lost his daughter, then joined a crew, and then they all died in front of him too. break next week, which is good. Ugh. And I think I'm going to start winding down here, guys. So let's get in our last thoughts. Anything else that the community's been talking about? Saeed said, I've heard a theory, Tekking mentioned it as well, that the reason Brook keeps asking women for their panties is related to his backstory with Gunko. It's something to identify her with. Well then, by all means, I hope that she's not a child in that backstory. That's not good. That would put Brooke in a certain set of files. Could be a crazy plot twist, yes, but not one that I think Brooke would be able to come back from. Yes. Henry DH said Brooke's a top 3 character for me. I hope we get an expanded backstory. I think the story is all but confirming that that's what's going to happen. I'm not against, there being a story relevant reason for the joke that Brooke has, but I don't want it to be with Gunko, especially if she was a child in the backstory. Let's see. I'm going to take one last look here at the chapter. Page through it. Okay. Reset page, reset page, reset page. Reset page. Alright. So it takes until page 6 for something to happen, and that something is Giant Warrior Pirates seeing everything up top. I think we could have just as easily had page 6 be the first page of the chapter. Because we didn't really get any new information. Did we know that one of the kids is related to Road? Or is that new information in this chapter? Did we know that Bjorn was the brother of Road already? Said no, new information. That's what I thought. I like that everybody knows that Loki's innocent. It's going to give Loki a little bit of freedom throughout Elbaf and with his brothers and sisters across the land here. And Ja Rule is the only person that could actually, legitimately free Loki's name. So it's good that everybody hears that. Zoro versus Directions next chapter. That actually would be kind of interesting if Zoro was the first person to go up against Imu Gunko. Since the story is making us think that Luffy and Loki are going to be the ones to go up against them. But then I'd want Zoro to be like defeated, you know. But realistically, I want Luffy to get defeated also. I don't want him to win here. If this is supposed to be like the end all be all and we beat them here, then we might as well just get the One Piece right after this. Leo Legendario said we knew about Ja Rule's great granddaughter. Yeah, yeah. Rania, I think her name was. We also know that Olaf, one of the kids, is Oimo's son. Yep. Forgot about that one, but yeah. And I like that. Crush said Bjorn is in 1147. Okay. Jin said Zoro defeated by arrows. I mean... I'd love that. It's about to get spicy! Ilva's the great granddaughter. I know Rania was the one they were going to push off the branch, but wasn't Rania related to somebody? Wasn't that part of the emotional crux? I thought Rania going over was what, like, it was the emotional connection between Rania and Ja Rule that he let them burn the library. Because it was his granddaughter. If it's just some random person's kid, then I guess that's Oda trying to show that all of the kids are equal and everything. Henry said Loki getting the Elbaf Giants' trust back will likely lead to them wanting to make Loki king, but it would most likely make Hyruden king to go against old customs. Yeah, I think that Hyruden makes a better king. But I am also worried about Hyruden's survival. But we'll see. Kip said that would up the stakes of Zoro if all people gets beat. Yeah. And you know, I mean, that's think of any of the times where the stakes were like instantly raised, right? It's usually when Zoro gets beat. You know, Kuma, Archipelago. Like, that's when you start to feel it, like, oh man, Zoro's down and out. You know, the fight with Mihawk. There was the tension during Arlong Park because Zoro was still not fully recovered, right? So that's what that's what we need. We need something like that, yeah. Elbaf's got that heat on feet. It's on fire. Rania was just a boss that made it emotional, is what I remember. Gotcha. Bjorn was the cowardly kid, figures. Runs in the family. Olaf is Oimo's grandson? Jeez. Guess that makes sense. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap up here, and then we will return for 1173 next week. No break. If there's any last things that people want to throw out, feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to end in the next minute here. Let's see. Do we think that the nightmares killing him is waking up? Do we think that the nightmares killing him is waking up are weak because they're kids' dreams, or stronger because they aren't limited by adult constraints? I think if we're talking about what Oda would want, I think that they would be powerful because they come from the imaginations of children, and I think that that's a theme that Oda has set up very much so with like Bonnie going Gear 5 and everything. Like, she's not limited by the impeding thoughts of adulthood. Was a good stream, guys. It was great chatting this one out. Final trailer, when's it out? Sometime between now and March 10th. Always fun hanging out talking about this. How long do I think that Loki and Luffy will take to get to the Sun Realm? It depends on what Oda wants, and I think the next chapter will be a fun way to figure that out. You know, like, is this, you know, the Snake Way portion? Like, are we gonna do a thing where everybody starts getting defeated and then Luffy shows up at the last minute to save everyone? Or does Oda want three things happening simultaneously? Luffy with Emu, Zoro with Dorian Brogi, Sanji with the Holy Knights. We'll see. Crush says, so Killingham can't put Zoro to sleep and wake up a nightmare of death. I don't know if death would be Zoro's fear. I think his fear would be like stairs or something. Alright. Alright, that's it for me, guys. And I will see everybody next Sunday for 1173 when we get into Zoro's plan. Thanks again, everybody. And catch you then.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.